Okay. Yeah, we'll just give it a couple minutes here, let some more people show up, and then we will begin.
Sounds good.
Wish we had some nice like elevator music just to play while we
Right.
wait. Okay. Well, it's 6 o'clock, so I can just slowly start doing the intro now. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our artwork professional development series, How to Prepare for an Audition. Oops, I'm on the wrong page here. uh, with Kathy Zaborsky. Just a couple things before we begin. CASA and the Allied Arts Council of Lethbridge acknowledge that we are gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains and pay respect to the Blackfoot people, past, present, and future, while recognizing and respecting their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship to the land. Lethbridge is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. We will have a Q&A session at the end, but you can also just type in your questions either into the chat box or the Q&A. I'll attend to both of them when all throughout the presentation. If you have questions right now, feel free to like type them out and then we will definitely get to them. Now I will pass it over to Tara.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tara Galanders, and I'm the projects manager for the Allied Arts Council. Just a little bit about the Allied Arts Council of Lethbridge. We are a 63-year-old art service organization here in Lethbridge. We operate a large community art center called CASA, which has a robust education and gallery program. And we also run a fine arts and crafts store called AAC Works on 7th Street in downtown. And we also produce a lot of events like Arts Days. We're doing Arts in the Park this year, Christmas at Casa, and our Upside Downtown concert series that runs on Rotary Square at Casa every Thursday throughout the summer. So a busy organization. And we also put on this event almost monthly and provide artists the opportunity to learn from other very talented and skilled artists. But now I'd like to introduce to you Kathy Zaborsky, who's doing our presentation tonight. Kathy is an actor for the Great Gatsby, Bad Jews at Theatre Calgary, Gutenberg, the musical at Lunchbox Theatre, Legislating Love at Sage, Romeo and Juliet. She's done on a U.S. tour. She won the Best Actress Award at the Dublin Gay Theatre Festival with Theatre Outre, Toxic Avenger musical with Broadway West, Educating Rita at the Sunshine Festival, and over 70 musical comedy reviews with New West Theatre here in Lethbridge. She's also a director. And Kathy is the musical director at Jubilations Theatre and New West Theatre, and is a graduate of the American Musical and Dramatic Academy in New York City. And she is also an accompanist improviser with Dirty Laundry and the Kinko Knots. And so I would like to welcome Kathy. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. I'm very excited to be here. I wanted to give you sort of an overview of auditioning, but I do want to welcome all of you participants to put in the chat if there are specific kinds of auditions that you would like to know about, because there's so many different rules for so many different kinds of auditions, and I have to do them all so I can help you. There's a whole set of rules for theater auditions. There are a whole set of rules for musical theater auditions. There are a whole set of rules for film and TV. And now dun da da da, because of COVID, there's a whole set of rules for self tapes. So we've got a whole bunch of things going on, and I'm always taking workshops just so that I can learn what is industry standard, what do I need to be doing, what do I have to go and buy to make a nice self tape, all of that stuff. So I've been doing a lot of workshops the last few years, especially with that, and so. Yeah, I'm seeing all this stuff coming up in the chat, so I'm just going to take a look at it quickly. And hi, everybody. Some of you I know. This is so nice to see your names. I wish I could see your faces. Hey, Richard. Hey, Julie. Heather, I would like to learn how to better audition for on-screen parts and self-tapes. That's great. I can absolutely help you with that. Julie is saying musical theater, dance, modeling, and self-tapes, please. That's wonderful. Great, great, great. And as I start chatting, like, feel free to put questions in the chat, and I will try to see them. And Angeline will try to see them. So I've asked her to interrupt me in case something comes up and I can help. So yeah, so there you go. So first, a little bit about me. You heard a bit about my bio. Basically, I've been a professional actor now for 25 years. I've devoted my life to this art, this career, and I probably do 50 to 60 auditions a year, maybe more. And it's just a part of my world. When I went to theater school, one of the best things that they told me is that as an actor, half of your job is going to be auditioning. So embrace it and hopefully get to enjoy it, because to be honest, it can be a very nerve-wracking process, a very awkward process for everybody involved, not just those of us who are auditioning, but also the people behind the table. And now that I am a director and a musical director, and I actually am behind the table a lot, and I'm watching auditions, it's given me an incredible insight towards this. And knowing that usually the people you're auditioning for have a lot more worries because they really need you to be good. They really are rooting for you because they have a job to do. They need to cast this film. They need to cast this theater production, and they are very hopeful when you walk through the door. So yeah, one of the biggest things I want to say about auditioning, when you have a choice to pick your pieces that you are using in theater, you often get to do this. Make sure that they are pieces that you love, that no matter how you're feeling, no matter what nerves are happening, what kind of day you're having, that you are excited to do these pieces. Don't pick something that makes you feel vulnerable in a bad way, where you think, this isn't my ability, this is not what I want to show of myself. Take control of your own audition and show what you would like to show. And then you'll have a good time, they'll have a good time. One of the ways I get through auditions that really helps me is I just pretend it's a performance. Literally, I think, wow, they just paid 20 bucks. 20 to 50 bucks, and I need to entertain them. And that really helps me get through, because at heart, I'm a performer, I'm an actor, I want to tell a story. And so when I go into an audition, I never forget that, no matter who I am auditioning for. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about theater auditions to begin. So the way that the theater audition sort of process works is with professional companies. They will hold general auditions. You'll see posts for them all the time if you go on Theatre Alberta. If you have the Canadian Actors Equity, you don't have to be a part of Equity, but you can get the e-drive. This is stuff that I can email out to you guys later if you'd like, if you're interested. But these are ways to figure out about auditions and submitting for them. So you will see a whole bunch of general auditions for all the companies that exist, basically. And a general audition is a way to just get your name out there. It's kind of like a little calling card. So you come in and they often ask for two pieces, two monologues, or a monologue and a song. One thing that you can think about is make sure that your audition pieces are always 2 to 2.5 minutes long, no longer. It'll make it easier on you and easier on them. Usually within the first minute, they have a really good sense of A, your ability, B, do you fit the roles that they're looking for? C, what are you like as a person? So they can make a lot of judgments just by the way that you come into the room and start your first monologue. So yeah, 2.5 minutes is a great rule. So if you're going to do 2 pieces for a general audition, you want that to be about a 5-minute package that you're putting together, no longer. And then if they want to see more, that's great. They can ask for that, but you want to leave them wanting more for sure. Yes, great. Yes, I see all your emails coming in. So this is wonderful. Maybe what I'll do is I will put together a little resource email with all these things, and I'll send it to Allied Arts, and then they can send it out to you, and then you'll have it all. Cool, cool. Yeah, so for general auditions, you will have to do that. Usually out of a general audition, you don't get a role, but you get to know the theater company and they get to know you. I always tell young actors just out of school, if you do 3 general auditions, because they do them once a year, if you do 3, let's say for a company over 3 years, that's a really, really good thing. I never expect to hear from my first general audition because they are seeing so many people. So if I keep going, I'm persistent, and then they see me again, they hopefully remember me. Over time, then they start to call you in for more specific auditions. So if Vertigo Theatre here in Calgary is doing a show and I've already done that general audition, then I can submit for a specific mystery role, which they do. Vertigo is a mystery theater. So I can submit for a specific role. And then if they know me from the generals, which they'll just keep it all in a file, then they will call me in for a specific audition. And then in that case, I don't need to prepare anything of my own. They will give me what they call sides. So sides are your audition script. And usually they are maybe in a play, for instance, it would be 2 different scenes, and they may give you a portion of each scene to learn. And then you would come in and you would read with somebody, usually not an actor, which is an interesting thing. So knowing that they call them the reader, and this will figure into your film and TV auditions as well. You're going to have somebody who is just going to sit there and read the script for you, basically. So your challenge is to act with them. And sometimes actors get a little discouraged because the reader who's reading along maybe isn't an actor and maybe isn't giving you a lot. They're just looking at their page. But I always see it as a great advantage, and I like to use it as an actor. So for instance, if I'm playing a scene and I really want the person I'm in the scene with to fall in love with me, to love me. When that reader's not looking at me, I love it because then I have to work even harder to get them to love me, that sort of thing. So no matter how boring your reader is being, you can always try to make them act with you, and that actually can make a really good audition. So to continue with theater auditions, so we've talked about you have a general audition, and then you would you'd get called in for more specific sort of roles. Etiquettes for auditions like that, it's really important when you think about your wardrobe choices. Wear something like your pieces. Make sure you feel comfortable in it. Make sure you feel professional in it. If you are specifically auditioning for a role and you know what that character is, then you can wear something that is suggesting the character, okay? So for instance, Alberta, we do a lot of auditions for shows that take place in the 1800s, right? So I have a very long skirt and a little jacket that looks like I'm in the 1800s. And that's what I wear if Christmas Carol is auditioning at Theatre Calgary. That's what I wear. So it's not overkill, but it just gives an idea of what I'm auditioning for. If I'm auditioning for a businesswoman, this happens a lot, commercials. I have my blazer and I wear that. It's also a really good idea when you come into an audition to wear something with color. And the reason is when the people behind the table have been seeing hundreds of people all day long, at the end of the day, we remember colors. So we go, it was that guy in the pink shirt. And sometimes when I'm behind the table, I will write down, when I'm writing down notes about what I liked about a certain person, I will often do those little cues of, or they were wearing a specific necklace or something, just so that I remember them. And the reason I'm telling you this too is if you get a call back, you need to wear the exact same thing. And again, it's just so that you can jog their memory. And chances are, if they like you enough to bring you in for a callback, chances are they like how you presented yourself. So go in looking like that, and then they will remember you, which is really fantastic. So that was some really great advice I got early on in theater school about callbacks, just because then they can remember you. Yeah, so theater auditions. If you are going to do a musical theater audition, chances are they're going to ask you for two contrasting pieces. The 2.5 minute rule is, again, a great thing to adhere to. You cut down your songs a little bit. Don't go in and sing something 5 minutes because they will know pretty much right away if you're what they're looking for, or if they want to see more of you. So it's yeah, a good rule of thumb. When you are picking your pieces that you want to sing for musical theater, um, if it's for a specific musical that you're auditioning for, you want to make sure that your pieces are in the style of the musical. So, for instance, if you are auditioning for We Will Rock You, you don't want to sing something classical from My Fair Lady or The Phantom of the Opera, and vice versa, right? So, you want to think about the tone of the musical. If you are auditioning for something that is comedic, then chances are you want to stick with something comedic so that it's in the style of the thing that you are auditioning for. Should you audition with a piece from the actual musical or play? That's a great question. And the answer is you should avoid, um, if you're auditioning from Hairspray, don't audition with a piece from Hairspray unless they specifically ask you to. I just auditioned for Ragtime at Theatre Calgary. They wanted pieces from the show. So they were like, Kathy, yep, you're auditioning for this role. These are the two songs we want. But if I were just doing a general audition for them or for Ragtime, but they didn't say they wanted a specific song from Ragtime, then I would look at the character of the musical and the feeling and the tone of it, which is more of a classical, sort of its turn of the century. So then I would try to find something that was like that. And I've been in the room, actually at Theatre Calgary, for another audition when I was behind the table auditioning people. And a girl came in and she sang a song from the show that she wasn't supposed to, that we did not ask for. And the director was very turned off by that. So if they want that specifically, they will ask for it, but you want to just find something that is in the character of the thing. Same with the play. You're asking about, should you audition with a piece from the actual play that you are auditioning for, unless they specifically ask you to or give you, here's a monologue from a character from that show, and they ask you for it and they send you the PDF of that. Great, awesome, that's your instructions. But if they just say, we would like one monologue, what do you do? Right? So I always try to pick something that has the a similar tone to what I'm auditioning for. If Richard is on here, Richard does a lot of Shakespeare. So if I'm auditioning for a Shakespearean play, and they don't ask for something specifically from the play I'm auditioning for, I still bring a Shakespearean monologue, but it's something different. So if I'm auditioning for Midsummer Night's Dream and they want to see me for Titania, um, I would have, and they don't say, I want you to specifically do these speeches. I would pick another comedic character in the Shakespearean canon and I would present that. So, yeah, that's a really good question, though, because there's not always a lot of instructions and knowing whether you're doing something right or not. Usually you finish an audition and they say, thank you. Thanks for coming in. And that's it. So you never know. Am I doing the right thing? If you get the job, you go, cool, okay, I must have done something right. But you don't always know. So another thing I love to do is I have quite a network of actors. I see them at every audition, and some of them are dear friends. And the ones that I feel close with, we share our experiences. And we say, hey, I went and auditioned for Dennis, and Dennis really liked when I did this. And then I'll go, cool, okay, that's interesting. So next time I audition for Dennis, I will know he likes when you make, this is Dennis Garnham from, now he's in London at the Grand. He likes big, brave choices, even if it's really messy. So I'm like, okay, that's what he likes, kind of thing. Oh, what if it's something, I'm reading a question. Thanks, Kathy. What if it's something that's unique, like The Evil Dead, and there's nothing quite like it? Ooh, well, that's a great question. I did a musical called Toxic Avenger, the musical. You should check it out because there's a whole bunch of songs from there, and it's a horror movie musical. So, so for something like Evil Dead, I would just look for something that's in that vein. And there are a bunch of horror movie musicals out there. Heather's the musical. You could look into that. There's all kinds of stuff that's in that sort of character. So yeah, I would search for that. Yeah, and that's part of the fun too, actually, because if I'm auditioning for something and I don't really have something that fits the bill that I've already done, I start researching. I read that play I'm auditioning for. I go, ooh, that makes me think of something else. What other works did this playwright do? So it's sort of a self-education, which is amazing. Yeah. Oh, and that leads me to another thing. In terms of theater auditions, if you're doing a lot of them, you want to have essentially a cachet of material. So I have TYA monologues. So if I'm going to go and audition for a theater for young audiences company, I have a comedy children's monologue and I have a dramatic children's monologue. Very big and physical because that's usually what they want for TYA. For Shakespeare, I've got my comedy one, I've got my drum one, I've got the one that nobody's heard of or whatever. For classical, you want to have a few of them in your back pocket too, because you're going to do sort of auditions that are for classical material, but they'll say no Shakespeare. So then you'll go, okay, what are we going to do here? I have a Canadian contemporary dramatic. I have a Canadian contemporary comedy. So I have essentially like a list of pieces that I can go to so that when I get the call, I can go, okay, what do I have that fits the bill? And when I have nothing to do, which is not a lot these days, but when I have time, I go to the library and I read new plays. Or when I go to see a play and I go, oh, that is a great piece. I am going to go get it. So I'm always trying to build that cachet. Every now and then I grow out of a monologue and I go, this isn't right anymore. This doesn't feel good. I'm going to pick something else. So it's just, it makes your life so much easier. This is the same with musical theater. So when you have a whole bunch of songs that you can sing, at AMDA, the school that I went to, they encouraged you to put together a binder. So I've got an audition binder and I've got subsections in it. I've got my 50s. I do it by decade. I've got my 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, all of those. I've got my country. I've got my musical theater, classical, legit. I've got my musical theater, contemporary, comedy one. So I've probably got, I don't know, I haven't counted in a long time, but maybe there's 30 songs in there. So that when I go to an audition, when I went to my ragtime audition, I had my binder with me because every now and then they'll go, "Hey, that sounded cool. Do you have something else like this, though, that we'd like to hear?" And this happens all the time. And it happens with monologues too, which is why it's so good to have this cachet of monologues because they'll go, "Actually, I know we brought you in for this role, but you'd be really good for this. So do you have a monologue that's kind of like this?" And you want to have something, to show them. So it's a really great idea to have this sort of cachet of things for theater. So yeah, so that's basically like theater in a nutshell. In terms of protocols and etiquette for the actual audition, you always want to be 15 minutes early. And that is on time. So you're always 15 minutes early. A really great actor here in Calgary, Chantel, who teaches a lot of audition workshops, she says don't come any earlier than that. Because then it becomes a little awkward too. So 15 minutes is perfect. And it just gives you a little bit of breathing time. When you come to an audition where there are people waiting, like if you're auditioning at the Arts Commons here in Calgary, you're going to be in these hallways and there's going to be all the people who are also auditioning, and they're going to be sitting in chairs, and some are going to be warming up, some are going to want to talk to you. It's a really good idea to make sure that when you go to an audition that you take your space and you do what you need to do. Often when I go to an audition, because it's a lot of the same people auditioning all the time, sometimes that's the only time I see some of those people. So I feel really social and I go, "Oh, I haven't seen you for so long, Sarah. This is so wonderful." But I have to remind myself, no, but this is my moment to focus as well. And Sarah may want to be focusing too, right? So I try to walk that balance really well of making sure I give other people their space. You also don't want to be too loud. And I've seen this in professional auditions for theater and film alike, where people are talking too loud in the hall and then they have to come out of the room and ask you to be quiet. And that's an awful feeling. So, yeah, you just want to actually just sort of take your space and figure out what you need to do in those moments before you go in. I like to meditate. I like to, if I have a new script that I had to learn for the audition and I'm still just trying to get those words into my body, I'll often just sit and go through the text and just quietly to myself, just whisper it, or using consonants. Just I find when I run through with consonants, it helps my body learn what the words are that I'm going to go in and say. And yeah, so you just want to be careful about that. When you come into the audition room, basically in your 5 minutes you get to see them. You just want to show what kind of a person you are to work with. You want to be friendly. You don't want to be too imposing on them. But you want to be open and you want to be honest and you want to be vulnerable. You don't want to shake hands these days, which was actually even before COVID. The rule was if you come into a room, they stand, they want to shake your hand, and you feel comfortable, absolutely. But foisting yourself on the table and starting shaking hands, it's never a good idea. Just sort of, again, take your space. And yeah, they will guide you and let you know what to do first. So if they give me a choice, which often they will, I will usually think about that beforehand. If they give me a choice, what do I want to show them first? So usually I think about my strongest piece, and I do that first, just so that I feel the confidence. And then if there's time, I get to my second piece, and that's great. So then you do your thing, you do your audition. In terms of, usually you're in a rehearsal hall or any sort of a room, and they're sitting at the table, and you have to find your space in front of them. Sometimes they have it X'd out on the floor, and they don't want you to go any closer, but that's not always the case. So you have to just sort of use your spidey senses. You come in, you want them to be able to see you, but you don't want to be right on them. And if you're going to be walking in your monologue, if you're going to make a move or you come forward a little bit, you want to sort of plan that out. So as soon as I go into an audition room, especially a new one that I've never seen, I'm sussing out, where am I going to stand? How close do I want to be to them? You never perform right to them. You never look them in the eye when you're doing your monologue or your song unless they ask you to. In 25 years, I've had one director ask me to address him. They don't, because they are so busy making notes, eating sandwiches. Like they have so much on their plate. They don't want to be involved with your monologue. They want to be able to just sit back. So I always pick a point above their heads, and those will be my eye lines. Because in auditions, theater auditions, you're usually doing a lot of monologues. Um, you want to have those imaginary focuses that you're speaking to. At this point, I'm speaking to the ghost of my dead father, and then I see a train in the distance. So when I come in and I'm marking out on the floor where I want to stand, I'm also looking at the wall behind them and I'm marking out in my imagination, who am I talking to? Where are my focuses? Where are my eye lines? And so I'm doing all of that while I'm saying, hi, I'm Kathy Zaborsky. Nice to meet you. um, and so then you do your pieces. If you're very lucky, this took me a while to learn this, but if they give you any kind of direction or read, it's called a redirect. That is a great thing because it means that they want to see what it's like to work with you. So a lot of times when that happens, actors get a little freaked out and go, oh gosh, okay, they didn't like what I did. Darn it, they just want me to do this in a different way. Oh, I didn't prepare that way. But really, they just want to see what you're like to work with. So again, it's an opportunity. So then I go, they give me another direction. They're like, I want to see this out of this. And I go, great. Let me try that for you. And then I do my best. So a redirect is something that is a good thing. In film and TV auditions, a redirect is a guarantee. They will do it every time, and it's fantastic. So then you get to see what it's like to work with them as a director, and see if you have a sort of chemistry that works. A lot of this is chemistry, whether they feel that they can work with you. And then when I'm done, I thank them, and usually they thank you, and then I walk out of the room and I let it go, and I forget all about it. You can make yourself crazy thinking about, oh, are they gonna call me? Ooh. I always think, what's my next one? Okay, I can't wait for my next one, and then I have another opportunity. My sort of rule with auditions is I do everything I can to prepare and do my best. And when I walk out of the room, I think, did I fulfill that? Did I do my personal best? Everything else, in terms of whether they're going to hire you, whether you are the right height, whether you, all the things that when I've been on the other side of the table, I go, oh, she was amazing. She's 2 inches too tall. That's the only problem. Right. That's usually how some of these things go, right? Oh, they already cast the romantic lead and he's only 5'4" and I'm 5'6". The stuff like that, or, it's usually stuff like that, right? So if I can feel like I did my best, honestly, then I can just let it go and go from there. I take a lot of notes after my audition. I write down who I auditioned for, or what pieces I did, and how it went, and any feedback that I got. So I like to just do a journal of that. So I have years of journals of this, just to see if I can learn something, and things that I've heard from other actors. So I keep a good tally for that. Yeah. Now, when it comes to film and TV auditions, it's a whole other ballgame. So, a film and TV audition, very rarely will you get an audition where they say, we would like you to do a monologue. And then maybe we'll give you some script to read. So when you're auditioning for film and TV or commercial, it's always specifically that script. And they are going to give you maybe a full scene, maybe part of a scene. I'm going to talk self-tapes here, guys, because right now it's all self-tapes. And I've been hearing from the different casting directors that do work in Alberta and Vancouver that they are saving so much money by not having to rent rooms and have everybody travel to come to auditions, that I think that self-tapes are probably going to be the thing for a while. Okay, so I'm just going to talk through a couple of pieces of process and etiquette for you. Okay, so in terms of film and TV auditions, for the most part, you get them through your agent. There are lots of really, really great agencies in Calgary. If you go to the ACTRA Alberta website, you will find the list of agents that are legit. So you can always send your headshot resume to them. I highly recommend just doing that. Why not, right? Get your name out there, and if you're interested in film and TV, that is. Yeah, absolutely, because there's so much going on. Oh, I'm going to read a question. Do you recommend a headshot resume for a musical theater audition? The last one I went to had a form to fill in instead. That's a great question. For musical theater, for film and TV, always have a resume and headshot with you. I keep them in my binder so that I always have them, and multiple copies. So that is the general rule. You may not always have to give your headshot and resume, but at every professional audition, you should have at least 2 or 3 copies, always. And then you have it if they need it. These days, there's a lot of email submissions for theater and film and TV auditions. So they are going to have your headshot and resume that you sent as a PDF in your email. Here, I'm just going to grab mine. Yeah, so I've always got it in my binder, so I'm ready to go. So I always have my headshot, and I'm ready to go. I'm always updating my resume. Some people these days like to have your headshot and resume just on one piece of paper. So I've been doing that for the people who like that. So yeah, and they will maybe get you to fill out a form as well. But a good practice is to always have it with you, even if they don't ask. Yeah, because you never know. Yeah, so film and TV process, usually what happens is you get an email from your agent just saying, okay, you have an audition. The first thing that I do is I check the deadline. When is the submission deadline? And if it's, okay, what's today? Oh yes, I'm going to Dublin tomorrow morning. So tomorrow's Friday. So say the audition is due Sunday morning. I will write in my calendar it's due Saturday because I always like to get it done early. If you get your auditions done earlier, there's a chance that they'll be watched more, just so you know. And yeah, so I will also make a schedule for myself about learning my lines for this audition. So I'm going, okay, this is my deadline when I have to learn my lines. I pick out my outfit of what I'm going to wear. And I also schedule a practice session for my audition. So this is for a self-tape, guys. So this is like, I'm gonna record my audition on Saturday. And so by Friday night, I'm gonna be memorized. And then Saturday morning, I'm gonna do my rehearsal. And I'm gonna basically block it out and make sure that my lighting's good. Try some blocking, block myself an entrance and an exit for my audition, or pick an activity that I'm going to do before we go into the lines, so that I'm creating a story. I'm creating a beginning, middle, and an end. If I am a secretary auditioning for the TV show Jan, this happened a little while ago. I'm a secretary, Jan comes in, and I have to glare at her, but I'm going to have some work. And I'm going to give myself an activity. And then Jan's going to come in and I'm going to look and I'm going to give her a dirty look. The other thing for a self-tape, and this is a huge thing, and you guys can help each other with this, your actor buddies, you want to have your reader. So usually it's a script where there's a conversation going on. So you need somebody to read with. So if you have a dear friend, actor friend, person in your life that you feel very comfortable with, that you can rehearse your lines with, then you would get them to be your reader. Sometimes it's hard, and especially during COVID, it was really, really difficult. So I would often get my reader to be on Zoom. And so I'd put them by my camera and then I'd be reading with them. So you want to choose somebody to read with you for when you actually shoot the audition. So again, you get this deadline. This is due. This is when I'm going to submit it. I need to book my friend to come in and read with me. And I need to get my costume all ready. Now, in terms of film and TV, the costume choices are a little bit more specific and a little bit more important. Again, you just want to give the essence of the character. You don't have to go too crazy in terms of details, but you want to have the right sort of presentation. If you're a woman or if you're a man and you have long hair or whatever, like you need to choose how you're going to present yourself for this audition. For self tapes, this I'm glad we're doing this here. This is my self tape wall when I'm staying in Calgary. When I'm at home, I've painted a wall in my house blue, and there's a window right by the self tape wall, and natural light is the best kind of light to shoot an audition with. So basically, you want a clear wall. They like you to stay away from white. They say taupe. This is what the casting directors in Alberta say anyway. They want like a light blue or a taupe or a beige. Maybe, no, stay away from green. Yeah, light blue is really, really nice. When you choose your outfit you're gonna wear, you want to make sure you don't. I have a beautiful blue wall at home. I won't wear a blue shirt. So you don't want to blend into your background either. In terms of what we call framing, you can use by the way, you can use your smartphone camera. All of that is perfectly fine these days. They're really great cameras everybody has. You want to be framing from the top of your head to about your chest, and that's what we call a medium frame. So usually this is what they want to see. So you're going to have to set up your camera that way. In terms of film and TV auditions, you never want to speak directly into the camera like I'm doing right now, because even though I can't see you, I want to communicate with you. You want to pick an eye line that is just slightly off the camera. For theater actors doing self tapes for film and TV, you want to be very careful of profiles, because when we play a stage, as you stage actors know, you can have a lot of this. You can have the focuses go up and out. We want that actually because that plays really well in a theater, right? In film and TV, you want to keep those. If you're gonna look this way and then somebody's gonna come in over there and you're gonna clock them, subtle, small. Because on the camera, if you go like this, now we've lost you. So we need to see your eyes. Okay. Yeah, and just make sure that your reader or your Zoom reader is standing right by the camera. So they would be just off of that camera hole so that you can talk to them and then we can still see your face, your eyes. Yeah. So that's for a self tape. If you don't have natural light, a ring light is amazing. So I went to I think it was Chapters, and I got a $40 ring light, and it's incredible because now if I'm in any situation where the lighting isn't good, I can just use that ring light, and it was a great investment. And so now I can do auditions wherever I go. I'm going to Dublin to perform tomorrow. I've got my ring light. I've got a couple of outfits because it's audition season. Like I know I'm going to get on the plane. I'm going to get off the plane and Kelsey's going to say, you have to get this audition in. So yeah. So it's a good thing to have. And for our theater people out there too, there's actually a lot more self-tapes going on now because of COVID uh, for theater as well. So it's a really great thing to invest in. When you're auditioning for film and TV, you want to be here. When you're auditioning for theater, you want to use your whole body just because they want to see your physicality, because it's a more physical art to audition in theater, or to perform in theater, I should say. So, yeah. So, yeah, self tapes for commercials. This is an interesting one. If you go get an agent tomorrow, chances are you're going to get an audition for, I don't know, some company, and they're going to say, there are no lines in this audition. Um, in this audition, this is a true story from a little while ago. There are a series of blocks. And we would like to see a corporate businesswoman in her mid-30s putting together these blocks. And at the end of the take, she would look at the camera and go like this. So you really have no idea what's going on, but this is the action. And then they say, please send 2 takes of that. So you get a lot of that stuff where you go, okay, I don't know what you're looking for, but I'm going to do this the best that I can to the best of my ability. When I shoot self-tapes, and this is what I love about self-tapes, is I can do multiple takes, and I can watch and I can direct myself. And so sometimes I'll shoot an audition. Maybe I'll shoot 20 takes, and I'll choose a few of my favorites as ones that then a few hours later I will go back and look at, and then I'll go, okay, this is the one that I'm choosing. You only send multiple takes if they ask for it, and it's usually just for commercials that they do that, because they usually don't know what the heck they're looking for. But when you get an audition for a TV show, for instance, around here, which lots is shooting, just send in your best take. Now, another thing that you're going to see if you are auditioning for film and TV or for commercials, you are going to be asked to do a slate. So a slate is just basically you introducing yourself. Okay? If they say, they will usually give you very specific instructions. If they do not, they just say, we need a slate. Great. I take my framing, chest to top of head. I say my name, I say my location, I say my height, just because that's generally what they ask. But for slates, you can get all kinds of things. You can get Heartland. If you're doing a slate for Heartland, they'll ask you things like, say your name, say your height, say your location, and say if you're comfortable with horses. So there you go. So then you would make your slate. You'd be like, hello, my name is Catherine Zaborsky. I'm 5'5", located in Calgary, and I'm comfortable with horses. Sometimes they will ask you, do you have firearms experience? Hello, I'm Catherine Zaborsky. I'm 5'5". I'm from Calgary, no firearms experience. And that's your slate. One of the things they will ask you for in a slate these days, which is a big pain in the ass, but they want a full body slate, and they always want your camera in horizontal. So you have to find a spot in your house where there's not a lot of, you just don't want distractions in the background, because it looks unprofessional, and it takes the attention off of you, essentially. So you'll have to do a lot of ones where you go from your toes all the way to the top of your head. So I basically have this one place in my house where I can move a bit of furniture and quickly do that. Here, when I've had to do so many auditions in my friend's apartment when I'm staying here in Calgary, the only place to do it is the parking garage. So I get my roommate here to take a picture or a video of me doing my slate. Another thing that they ask for in slates, not all the time, but a lot of times, is your profile. So essentially, and it's usually in the full body slate. And so basically you say your name, and then they want you to turn all the way to one side, all the way to the other side. They just want to take a look at you, basically. So I always, in those moments, because they can tend to look really awkward, I just try to think about I'm making the person on the other side of the lens feel good. So I just try to think that. And especially when you do your slate, it's for a film and TV audition, that's usually the only time you're doing a direct address to the camera. And so I always try to, like even right now, I'm practicing. I'm thinking about all of you behind the screen dot and that I'm trying to communicate with you like you're actually with me. I just can't see you. So that's a really good thing to practice. I am going to see if I can share my screen with you. Here's an example of, let's see if this works. Yeah, okay, so here's my full body slate. Let's see if this works.
Hello, I'm Catherine Zaborsky, and I'm auditioning for the role of Megan.
And there's my slate. So that was for, I think it was for a TV show. And yeah, so they wanted me to do that. I want to give you another example of, here's an audition that I did for Under the Banner of Heaven, which is an FX series that they were shooting here last year. And it was really nice. They brought me in about 8 times, which is lovely. And I got to audition on Zoom with the writers and the directors, and I almost got cast. I didn't get cast, but this will give you a great example just of like the shortness of the script they give you, and how you need to create a story, a beginning, middle, end, and you'll see the framing, you'll see the lighting, and you'll see my wall. So here we go. There's my blue wall.
And 2 in the back of a car parked here. 3rd went in the front door. I think the 4th went in too. When I came out from our groceries, he was gone, but none of it worried me.
What kind of car was it?
Maybe it was blue or green. I was in and out. I didn't look closely.
Did you hear anything unusual?
There was a banging
Oh,
for a
Kathy?
moment.
Yeah.
Sorry, were you sharing the video? We just don't see it right now.
You don't see it. Hold on. Let me. Sorry. Oh. Here we go. Can you see that?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Beautimous. Thank you for letting me know. Otherwise, I would have been just happily watching it. All right, here we go. So there's my blue wall. Now you see it.
2 in the back of a car parked here. 3rd went in the front door. I think the 4th went in too. When I came out from our groceries, he was gone, but none of it worried me.
What kind of car was it?
Maybe it was blue or green. I was in and out. I didn't look closely.
Did you hear anything unusual?
There was a banging for a minute maybe, but they have a toddler, so I didn't think that. Oh my gosh.
Sister, can you describe these men?
They had beards, like pioneer men, the kind you'd run across down south or up in the mountains here.
Like old prophets?
I can still hear the banging.
And that's my slate.
Hello, I'm Catherine Zaborsky, and I'm 5'5".
Awesome. So that it's in terms of instructions, I got my script. They wanted a slate where I said my name and my height, and they wanted me to dress like I was a Mormon lady in the 80s and not wearing much makeup. So those were my instructions. So, which was nice. And then I got to audition for the director after this, which was so cool. So, but that gives you a sense of framing and just like what we should be focusing on, how close that frame has to be when you're doing a film and TV audition. So yeah, cool. But you saw that, right? That was cool. I'm not really good at sharing screens and stuff yet.
You're doing great.
Okay, awesome. Sweet. Yeah. So there you go. So anyway, that's a lot of information that I've just dumped on you all. I just want to pause for a moment and see if we have any specific questions or anything you'd like me to talk about. You actors out there. How do you get an agent? Cool, cool, cool. So, I would go to the ACTRA Alberta website. Just Google ACTRA Alberta, and they have a list of agents on their website. And you can go to each agent's website and just check them out. See if they're looking for submissions, see if they have any instructions for submissions. Usually what they want to see is your headshot resume. If you have any sort of demo reel, and a demo reel, guys, it can be if you've shot any movie, like any independent movie, any independent commercial, any little bit of video that you might have on yourself. You can create a demo out of that. And the great thing is now most of us have Macs. You can put that together in iMovie for yourself. If you don't have anything that's film and TV, I would say you could even take something that's from theater, if you have that. And if you don't have that, you could even get somebody to tape you doing one of your monologues, and just make it a nice little tape like you just saw me do, and send that in as something where they can just get a sense of you as a performer. But yeah, mostly a headshot resume. And I would say too, never be deterred by thinking that maybe you don't have enough experience to get an agent. It's not about that. And there's so much even background work and stuff that can be really lucrative, which can be a stepping stone. And a lot of the agents here in Calgary and Edmonton, they book that stuff. So I would say if you're interested, yeah, just check it out. Check out, there's probably at least 10 really good ones here in Calgary to begin with. So yeah, I would just start reaching out to them. Yeah. Cool, cool. Any other questions specifically about anything that I've brought up?
Thank you so much, Kathy. If we see any other questions pop up, oh, there we go. We have one.
Great.
Julie, do you recommend avoiding auditioning if you are much older than the parts?
That's a great question too. Here's where I've come on this journey with that. I don't limit myself when I submit my resume for something. If they don't want to see me, if they think I'm too old for something, too young for something, I let them decide. I used to really drive myself crazy with that because I look a lot younger than I am. So I'd be like, oh, I don't really look like I'm the right age or whatever. Either way, older or younger. And after a while, I just thought, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to, if they don't want to see me, they don't want to see me. That's cool. What else do we have here? When auditioning, should you be shaved or bearded? Great question for men. It will depend on the thing you are auditioning for and the role. Sometimes it's great, depending on how fast you can grow your beard. If it's not a fast growing beard, you may want to hold on to your beard, right? But if you are definitely going for a role that is clean shaven, and that's what you want to present, I would just think about the role that you are auditioning for and make that call. Yeah. Because the more, we always think that the casting directors or the directors have so much imagination and like, you can see me do anything, but it's not really, you want to present as much as you can to them so that they can see you the way that you want them to see you. Yeah, cool, cool. Are underrepresented actors at a disadvantage versus represented actors? I would say this, Heather, for the theater industry in Canada, it does not matter. You do not need an agent. If you're only going to do theater, I would recommend not having an agent if you don't want one. Only get one if you're going to do film and TV. If you want to do a lot of indie film and TV, you're not going to need one. But if you're going to do the actual network shows that are casting and stuff, they only go through agents, unfortunately. But in a way, though, it's really great, though, because they do all that communication for you. They put you out there. But there's just as many opportunities for non-union and non-represented actors as well, I would say. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Anything else? I love answering your questions. Ask me more.
Well, you were so great, Kathy. Thank you so much.
My
That was
pleasure.
very informative as someone who doesn't have any knowledge or experience in film and like theater. That was awesome. I learned a lot. Thank you.
Fantastic.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. I mean, it was so informative, really great presentation. And I learned a lot, and I'm not an actor, so it was great. I really
Wonderful.
appreciate it. And wishing you very safe travels tomorrow as you travel to Dublin to act and represent us here in Alberta in Ireland. So that's super exciting. Really appreciate you being here tonight, the night before you leave. So thank you so much. Just to let everybody know that we will, if Kathy can provide us that information, we will certainly email it out to all the people who are present tonight. As well, our next artwork before the summer break is going to be June 2nd. It's about public art. We have artists Caitlin R.C. Brown and Wayne Garrett from Calgary doing a presentation. Much of their career has been public art, and so they're going to talk about the opportunities there. And that will be our next artwork, June 2nd at 6 o'clock.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. By the way, I really appreciate you asking me.
No problem. Thanks, Kathy, so much.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Everyone. Have a good night. Take care. Bye now.
Bye.